But in Canada, you may have heard of the tar sands, where basically oil, and you have it here, bitumen. You're starting to, the Ministry of Mines is working on a bitumen program. So in Canada, we basically have an infinite amount of oil that comes from bitumen. The total cost to produce that bitumen oil is about $60 to $70. So we cannot sustainably have $100 oil if there's a supply of 60 to 70. But we also have Iran coming on stream, Algeria with massive reserves. We have big reserves that are low cost. And I think the world is moving away from oil. In fact, I personally think that Nigeria should be prepared for the day when oil is $20. Maybe oil is going to go to zero if we get solar energy working, wind energy. But no one in this room, no one listening today should be basing any kind of forward economic thinking for this country on oil going back up. But more than that, I want this group to really recognize that Nigeria is not an oil nation. So what we have on this chart is a little bit about the price on the left. The right-hand side is the production of oil. We all know the difficulties that we've had with oil production. The last number on the red chart that you can't quite see is about 1.5 billion barrels a day. We hope it's coming back, which will obviously help us a little bit. But I want you to think about it for a minute from the perspective that let's say we produce 2.5 million barrels of oil a day. So that's the target for the federal government. If we produce 2.5 million barrels of oil a day, we would produce close to 900 million barrels a year. There's 180 million Nigerians. So that means for each Nigerian, we would produce 5 barrels of oil a day. Now, about half of the value of the oil goes to the IOC, the lifting costs, etc. So what's left over to build the Nigerian economy is 2.5 barrels of oil per person per year. Now, yesterday oil traded at $51. So it tells you that what's available is $125 per person per year. I don't need to tell you in this room, that's not a very big number. We are not an oil economy. And the faster that we recognize that every business leader, every politician, every citizen, the better off we're going to be. Okay, so let me relate some of this to the current economic situation. So the left-hand side of this chart shows the growth rate for each quarter. That's just so people are clear on this. When the government announces a growth rate of 2% for the quarter, it doesn't mean there was 2% growth in the quarter. It means that the annualized growth rate for that quarter was 2%. So it effectively grew 0.5%. Anyways, we all know for the last 4 quarters, the quarter ending in December 2016, we had negative growth. And in total for the 2016, we shrunk by 1.6% is the official number. Now I want you to think back to the first demographic chart we had. So we shrunk by 1.6% and our population grew by 2.8%. So effectively, the income per capita in the country declined by 4.5%. Now, if you take a country that had no population growth like Germany, and you had a headline that said our economy shrunk by 4.5%, you would really recognize that as an economic catastrophe. And that's what's happened in this country. And we all know personally the hardship and the increase in poverty that came about because of that economic hit. But the other implication about that is it's not good enough to come out of recession. So I've seen some very prominent commentators come out and say we're about to come out of recession. I've seen forecasts, I think IMF, that we're going to grow 0.7% this year. I think the official federal government forecast that the Minister of Finance can comment on later is maybe 2.2%. 2.2% is obviously much better than shrinking by 1.6%. But if we grow at 2.2%, we're still going backwards. We need, as I said, to get the growth at minimum of 5% for this country. So let me relate a little bit to, because everyone, FX issue, foreign exchange. So what this chart shows is the collapse in the oil revenue. So at the top it shows we roughly, if you go back to the first quarter of 2014, we earned about $22 billion that quarter on our export of oil. By the last quarter of last year, in December 2016, that number had shrunk to about $7 billion. So 2/3 of the revenue that we earned from oil, our FX revenue, went away. As people in this room know, oil, unfortunately, has represented 90% of our foreign exchange earnings, which caused incredible hardship. So the bottom shows just what's happened to imports, and obviously, as we've had no dollars to be able to import, imports have collapsed as well. But it's not all bad news. This chart shows the orange and red part show that we spend about 40% of our dollars, or our FX, on just two things, which are importing refined petroleum and food. Refineries come on stream very shortly, within 2 or 3 years. In fact, 40% of this demand for FX is going to go away because we won't be importing food and we won't be importing refined petroleum. So even though we're really squeezed for now, I'm optimistic. We took all of it, most of it, and we either consumed it, squandered it, or diverted it. We did not invest it. So we had a windfall of probably $300 to $400 billion from the good years of oil, and we lost the opportunity to build the economy. Now, as I said, I lived 10 years in China. There's a Chinese saying that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. There's nothing we can do about what's happened in the past few years. We can't go and get that money back and reinvest in those years. But we can do something going forward, and we have to do something going forward. And I promise you every bar on this chart is important. So if we look at this, the yellow bar are remittances. And Nigeria is one of the largest recipients of remittances. There are many Nigerians around the world, obviously love their homeland, love their family, want to invest in Nigeria. And the number we have is about $20 billion a year. And it's been stable even through the recession. And that sounds like good news. It may be good news, but we're a little bit uncertain because if we're really honest, part of what's happened is in the last 18 months, when the parallel rate and the official rate have diverged, some of these remittances are round tripping. So people have been able to obtain foreign currency, the official rate, they can round trip it at the parallel rate and make a profit. So I'm not sure about the remittances. The smaller two bars, there's the red and the dark red, are foreign portfolio investment and foreign direct investment. So I promised you a talk about foreign investment in the country. We're coming to that stage now. And if we go back to 2012, we got about $20 billion, $20 and $25 billion in direct and portfolio investment. And if you look carefully out there, in 2016, we got almost nothing. So the lines have come to that 0 point. I think in total maybe $3 billion. So we've had a collapse in direct investment and we've had a collapse in portfolio investment. Now I said earlier we needed gross investment in a country of roughly 30% of GDP. Our internal resources give us gross investment about 15. We have a gap. We do not save enough. We cannot save enough to be able to get that investment that's required to hit the 5, 6, 7% economic growth. If we don't close the gap with foreign investment, we will grow below our population growth rate, which will mean we will continue to get poorer and poorer and poorer, and poverty will increase. So the fact that this investment has collapsed is an issue for all of us. Now let me talk a little bit about direct and portfolio investment. Let me start with portfolio investment. So portfolio investment, foreign portfolio investment, is when someone outside the country buys stocks or bonds of listed companies or Nigerian federal government securities or other. Now, some people say we don't want foreign portfolio investment because we're worried that if we get foreign portfolio investment, the minute the winds change, it'll go out the other way. I think that's, in our view, an error. Our purpose is not to create an environment where people want to go in and out. Our purpose is to create an economy where we're a sink for investment. So it comes in and people are happy with their investment, more comes in, and it stays in our economy. And yes, one of the prices of getting them to invest is they have to be able to sell when they want to. But the truth is that investors need a place to invest. And if we make our country the best place to invest, the money will stay here. Now, one tangible issue with the foreign portfolio investment is interest rates. So people, as I said, I have a mortgage of 21%. We all lament the high cost of interest rates. Because interest rates are high, the CBN ends up creating special intervention windows to try to give agri or small and medium-sized enterprises a special deal. But why are interest rates high? Our interest rates are high because we don't have enough demand for our bonds, our government bonds. Why don't we have demand for government bonds? Because no foreign buyer wants to buy our government bonds. So if foreign buyers want to buy our government bonds, interest rates, the price of the bonds will rise, and interest rates will come down. But because we don't have enough domestic savings, and the professor, I think, rightly pointed out, what's happening is, the entrepreneurial speaker, Prince Bimbo, said very clearly, the federal government is crowding out private sector investment because of the 16% interest rates, because there's no foreign capital that's coming in to help drive those interest rates down. So we need the foreign capital to bring our interest rates down. Now, I promised to talk about direct investment as well. And I think that one of the things that I've observed in the country is that we talk a lot about small and medium enterprises being the backbone of the economy. And I think it's true. We have millions of small and medium enterprises, very critical. But the truth is, in our view, given the scale of Nigeria, what we need are investors that are prepared to put down millions of dollars and create large industries. So obviously, an old example is NTN. But if I have to give a more recent example, it's not just foreign investors, but domestic investors. I think Dangote represents what the country needs. Obviously with the cement business, where he was prepared to produce here, but now in the agri, producing rice, also in the refinery. He's prepared to put in billions of dollars. They could actually change the payments balance. He could change the refining petroleum balance. In fact, I think we should give a hand of applause to Mr. Dangote for having the courage